Hello, now let's talk about sensory receptors. Now, a stimulus first is a form of energy. Now, sensory receptors convert one source of energy into another. They are highly modified ends of sensory neurons, and often different sensory receptors and connective tissues are grouped together within specialized sensory organs, such as the eyes and the ears. The eye is our topic for this presentation. Now, I put a little example of a receptor. This is the skin sensory receptors. As you see, they have the root hair pellets, free nerve endings, and etc. This is what a skin sensory receptor looks like. On the topic of sensory receptors, now if you look here, there are different examples of receptors in the body. There's taste, smell, pressure, balance, outer ear, and our topic is the eye. And if you see the stimulus of the eye receptor is light, and information provided is changes in light intensity, movement, and color. Now, with sensory receptors, there's also sensory adaptation. Sensory adaptation occurs once the receptor becomes accustomed to the stimulus. The neuron ceases to fire even though the stimulus is still present. The adaptation seems to indicate that the new arrival of condition is not dangerous. Thank you. That's it for this presentation.
Hello, let's talk about the structure of the eye. Now, the eye has three separate layers: the sclera, the choroid layer, and the retina layer. The sclera layer is the outermost layer of the eye. Essentially, a protective layer, the white fibrous sclera maintains the eye's shape. Now, if you see the picture, there is the sclera. It is the outermost layer. Now, the front of the sclera is a clear, bulging cornea, and if you see over here, the cornea. And it acts as a window to the eye by bending light towards the pupil. Like all tissues, the cornea requires oxygen and nutrients. However, the cornea is not supplied with blood vessels which cloud the transparent cornea. Most of the oxygen is absorbed from gases from dissolved tears. Nutrients are supplied by the aqueous humor, a transparent fluid in the chamber behind the cornea. And if you see here in the picture, aqueous humor. That's it for my presentation. Thank you.
The middle layer of the eye, also known as the choroid layer, is mainly composed of the iris, the pupil, the lens, and the vitreous humor. And the iris is located towards the front of this middle layer, and its purpose is to regulate the size of the pupil, which determines the amount of light entering into the eye. And this can happen because the iris is made of a thin circular muscle that functions as a diaphragm that can open and close to its suitable size. And located directly behind the iris is the lens. And the lens can alter in shape with the help of ciliary muscles that are binded to the ligaments suspended from the dorsal and ventral ends of the lens. And the function of the lens is to focus the image onto the retina. And behind the lens, you can find the vitreous humor. And the vitreous humor is a large chamber that holds a cloudy, jelly-like substance that maintains the shape of the eyeball. And it also allows light to transmit to the retina.
A quick note, when I recorded this, I didn't know that the audio cut out, so the audio and video may not match up. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the innermost layer of the eye, which is the retina. It's comprised of 3 different layers of cells: the light-sensitive cells, the bipolar cells, and the cells from the optic nerve. So the light-sensitive cell layer is positioned next to the choroid layer. There are two different types of light-sensitive cells. There are rods and cones. The rods respond to low-intensity light, and the cones, they require high-intensity light because they identify color. Both rods and cones act as sensory receptors. Once excited, the nerve message is passed from the rods and cones to the bipolar cells, which in turn relay the message to the cells of the optic nerve. The optic nerve carries the impulse to the central nervous system. In the center of the retina is a tiny depression referred to as the fovea centralis. This is the most sensitive part of the eye. It contains the cones packed very close together. So when you look at an object, most of the light rays fall on the fovea centralis, and there are rods surrounding the fovea, which would explain why you may see the object from the periphery of your visual field without identifying its color. Now, behind the periphery part of your vision, we call it the blind spot because there's actually no rods or cones to identify anything that's going on.
Hey, doctor. Okay, all right. I'm in the right call. So, I've been having problem with my eyes. I've been able to see close up, but I've been having trouble seeing far away, and this has been a big problem for me because I play basketball and I need to be able to see the players far away from me. What do you think's going on with me?
So I believe that your eyes are nearsighted, and what nearsightedness means is that you have trouble seeing images far away, but you find it easier seeing things up close, right?
Right.
And so the reasoning behind nearsightedness is that the shape of your eyeballs are longer than usual, and since the lens of your eyes can't flatten enough to project the image onto your retina, what you see far away is only focused in the front of your retina.
I did not know this. Like, I did not know what's going on with me. Thank you for letting me know. But I want to know, what can I do to fix this problem?
So you have two options. You can do laser eye surgery or get a pair of glasses. And if you were to choose laser eye surgery, you would also have two common choices, which is PRK or LASIK. So, which one would you like to hear about first?
Can you tell me a little bit about the laser surgeries? I never heard about this.
Okay, we can start with PRK. So for PRK, they'll remove a small layer of your tissue to resculpt your cornea, which changes the way that your cornea refracts light so that your eyes can have a sharper focus. And for LASIK, the surgeon will cut an opening into the center of your cornea, and then they'll flatten the layers underneath it with pulses from an excimer laser. And then afterwards, they just reseal the opening.
Oh my God, that sounds very painful. Can you explain the glasses option to me?
Okay,
Like, what kind of glasses am I gonna get?
Yeah, so you go to an optometrist, they'll give you a prescription for a pair of glasses, and because you're nearsighted, they'll give a pair with concave lens.
Oh, so I feel like I'm gonna pick the glasses option because it feels like the least painful option. And right now I'm tight on money. I don't have insurance, and those laser surgeries sound like they're gonna cost a lot of money.
Yes. So I'll just refer an optometrist to you.
Okay, great. So thank you for your help, doctor. Bye.
Hello, with everything that we just discussed about the eye, let's talk about an important thing, and that is focusing image. Now, as light enters the eye, it first bends toward the pupil by the cornea. Light waves normally travel in straight lines and slow down once it enters more dense material like the cornea. The slowing of light by a denser medium causes bending, which is called refraction. And as you see in this picture, light is bent through the glass sphere and it inverts the image. And ciliary muscles control the shape of the lens, and suspensory ligaments maintain constant tension. When close objects are viewed, the ciliary muscle contracts and the tension of the ligaments decreases and the lens becomes thicker. And as you see in this picture, this is a picture of the ciliary muscle contracted. Thicker lens provides additional bending of light for the near vision. For objects that are further away, relaxation of ciliary muscles increases the tension of the ligaments on the lens, and the lens becomes thinner. The adjustment of the lens to objects near and far is called accommodation. Now, everybody must be asking, what is the importance of accommodation? Well, the importance of accommodation reflex become more pronounced with age. Layers of the transparent protein covering the lens increases throughout your life, making the lens harder. As lens hardens, it loses the flexibility it has. By the time you reach 40, still young, near point accommodation has diminished and may begin hindering your reading. A second adjustment occurs during the accommodation reflex. When objects are viewed from a distance, the pupil dilates in an attempt to capture as much light as possible. And when objects are viewed close up, the pupil constricts in an attempt to bring the image into sharper focus. And if you see here, this is circular muscles of iris contracted, causing a constricted pupil, and this is a dilated pupil.